So it's been about a year since the iPhone SE 2022 model came out, so let's go and see how it compares in 2023 against the iPhone SE 2020 model. There's a lot of numbers going around. If you want to pick up some phones I would recommend this year though, links will be down in the description. You can get them from there, you can help support the channel at the same time. Now both of these phones almost have the exact same build quality and the exact same thing going on for both of them. You probably can't even tell which one is which. Luckily for you, I did change the wallpaper between them. So the iPhone SE 3 is on my left, the iPhone SE 2 is on my right, and basically I would have never been able to tell the difference between these two if I didn't check the serial number, but there is one other way you can tell the difference between these two models, and I'll show you that in a second. Now with the iPhone SE 2020 model, this phone came out in 2020. It was the budget phone, and I thought it was I think it was an okay phone when it first came out, but it quickly became kind of old, and that's not a super big knock to something like the iPhone SE 2. I think this is still a fairly okay phone for the most part. If you can pick it up for like $110 or $160, whatever, then I think it's okay. But even then, it's still kind of overpriced. This phone inside was pretty, good. It had the same internals as like the latest flagship, which was nice. You had a kind of smaller 4.7-inch IPS panel, but you had big bezels. So that's why this phone kind of feels a little awkward to be sometimes. And you had Touch ID on the front as well. With the iPhone SE 3, on the other hand, you were getting, I don't know why my automatic brightness is so weird here, you were getting a 4.7-inch panel as well. But in this case, you have to remember this was a phone that came out in 2020. But you have to remember this phone came out in 2022, and that is pretty wild. For a phone like this to come out in 2022 looking like this is pretty insane. It is a very old looking phone already, and although it looks the same as the 2020 iPhone SE2, you have to remember this phone came out in 2020, 2 years earlier than this one, and this thing was already kind of old when it first came out. This thing was very, very old. So I was not a fan of that at all, and that's kind of how the fronts look. Now with the sides, this is where things start looking a tiny bit different. So you can kind of see over the camera, hopefully you can kind of tell, that all the buttons and everything are the same, the lightning ports are the same direction, everything like that. But these two are both the white color between them. But you can kind of tell that the iPhone SE 3 that's on the top right here actually looks a little bit more different of a color than the iPhone SE 2. It looks like a little bit more yellowish or a little bit more grayish, and that's exactly how I can tell the difference between these two phones. You can kind of tell it's a little bit harder over the camera, but in person, you can really tell which one is which. The iPhone SE 2, which is right here, looks a lot more brighter white. It looks a lot more premium white, in my opinion. The iPhone SE 3 is more like, I don't know what type of white this is, but it's not like a good. I think the iPhone SE 2 looked more brighter in a way. The SE 3 looks a little bit more grayished out in a way, which I'm not a fan of, in my opinion. So that's kind of another issue that we're kind of having here too. So personally, for me, I think this is a great thing. I think it's a great look from Apple, but I do think with something like the iPhone SE 3, it just doesn't look as good as the iPhone SE 2, but it's kind of a slight thing. Both have wireless charging, both have IP certification, and those are some pretty big things to keep in mind there too. So when it kind of comes down to it, in terms of the outside, that kind of covers it up there. Now in terms of software and longevity, because the iPhone SE 2 does have an older chipset, we should probably expect this phone to not last as long as something like an iPhone SE 3. That's typically how it happens, and it's kind of okay. It's not really that big of a deal anymore. You are still going to be getting a long-lasting phone from something like the iPhone SE 2. So this thing is still going to be supported for probably like another 2-3 years possibly. The iPhone SE 3 is probably going to last longer. I mean, it definitely is going to last longer. There's a chipset that's like 2 years newer than the iPhone SE 2. So this one is definitely going to be the longer lasting one. But I would probably say something like the iPhone SE 3 or the iPhone SE 2 is still going to be lasting quite a bit of time too. I wouldn't really pick one of these phones over the other one because of the software updates. I'd rather pick up neither one of these phones because of that, to be honest. So in terms of that, it kind of covers that there as well. Now let's go and do a speed comparison between both these phones. The iPhone SE 3 had that Apple A15 Bionic chip inside of it with 4 gigabytes of RAM, where the iPhone SE 2 had that Apple A13 Bionic chip inside of it with 3 gigabytes of RAM. So let's go see which one's the faster one between both. Okay, there we go. All the apps are cleared out in the background, except for this one, of course. So give me one moment while I clear out all these applications. Okay, there we go. All the apps are cleared out. SE3 is here, SE2 is here. Let's get into it. Phone calls 3, 2, 1. Okay, not that big of a difference. Music, which I don't have. App Store 3, 2, 1. And the iPhone SE2 looked to be a little bit faster there, which was kind of surprising. Let's go and kind of swipe through all of these and see which one is faster. And I don't know if one is necessarily way faster than the other one. Both look kind of the same thing. Typing out of this one. Let's go and get into clock. 3, 2, 1. Okay, not that big of a difference there either. Mail 3, 2, 1. SE2 was faster. It's on settings 3, 2, 1. Okay, about the same thing, I think. I don't know why that thing keeps coming up. Hopping out of here, let's go try some of these other applications I have. Now, I did want to try Genshin Impact, but it doesn't look like I have it here. So we'll have to kind of skip forward to some other of these ones. Let's go ahead and try Snapchat. 3, 2, 1. Okay, about the same thing, not that big of a difference there either. I totally apologize, I didn't know I was leaning like that. Twitter, 3, 2, 1. Okay, that's the first time I've ever seen that. Let's go and do Stack, 3, 2, 1. One of them is playing music, I think it's this one. Both were kind of the same though to load it up. Let's go ahead and do Netflix, 3, 2, 1. Okay, about the same thing. Let's go ahead and do Facebook, 3, 2, 1. SE3, I think was faster. Thank you, 3, 2, 1. So far, to be honest, I haven't really seen that big of a difference. I was expecting a way bigger difference here, and this was kind of a bigger difference there. But it's kind of surprising that the iPhone SE3 was so, like, it's not really as much faster as I remember it being. Snake vs. Blocks 3, 2, 1. I thought this one was going to be faster. So far, it really hasn't been, but I think that's okay. As you can see here again, the iPhone SE3 is faster. So I think when it comes down to it, both these phones are fast phones, but I do think that the iPhone SE3, it's a faster phone probably for sure, but I don't know if it's exponentially faster. Like, I don't know if it's a phone that I would go ahead and buy because it's a faster phone or that it's a better performing phone. I think both of these have a lot of overlap, and I do think when it kind of comes down to it, both of them are fast, but possibly a phone like the iPhone SE2 is still very good too. But in terms of that, that kind of covers it up there. Now, in terms of the camera side of things, both these phones, like I said, have very similar cameras. They're the same megapixel count. They're both wide-angle cameras. They both can do 1080p on the front, 4K at 60 on the back, and that's kind of it. There's not a lot of differences here. They both are almost identically the same type of camera. In fact, these two phones are almost the same camera as the iPhone 8 when you kind of think about it. So this type of phone, you're not really getting a whole lot else that's super insane with it. With the iPhone SE2, you're getting photo mode, video mode, slow mode, time lapse, you're getting portrait mode and panorama mode. Other than that, there's really not a whole lot else going for this phone. It's pretty basic. It's a fairly standard camera. You can take photos and videos on it. Other than that, though, it's a pretty basic camera. Now, the iPhone SE3 is more or less the exact same thing. So it's, from what I've heard, from what I've seen myself personally, it's almost identically the same type of camera. The only thing with the iPhone SE3 is that it does have a newer chipset. So because of that, you may be getting more optimizations here and there, but even that isn't that big of a difference from what I've seen. So even from something like that, you're really not even getting that big of a difference. You're getting photo mode, video mode, slow mode, time lapse, and portrait mode as well. So definitely almost identically the same type of camera. You might be getting some additional features here and there, but they're basically almost the same thing. So when it comes down to it, what I'll tell you is a phone like the iPhone SE3 is more worth it than the iPhone SE2. But I don't think either of these phones are worth buying, to be honest. I think you're much better off buying a phone like an iPhone 11 Pro, an iPhone 12, an iPhone 13, even an iPhone 10R. You might want to buy more than these things for the time being. If you want a phone that can last you for 2 years or something, then the iPhone 10R might be better. I'm just not a fan of both of these phones, to be honest. I feel like Apple could have done a better job, and that's kind of the issue that we are kind of at right now. So when it kind of comes down to it, that kind of covers it up. If you have any other thoughts or questions, let me know in the comment section below. Hit the like button, that would mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out.